All right, joining us now, Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen of Tennessee. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome, Wolf. Nice to be on CNN.
I don't know. Thank you. I don't know if you had a chance to watch that 1 hour live presentation, but do you think the president sounded more like a Democrat in that meeting?
Well, he sounded like a Democrat yesterday, and he sounded like a Democrat on occasion during the campaign when he said nice things about Planned Parenthood, and he sounded like a Democrat when he said nice things about the Dreamers. But when it comes to the lick log, he's a Republican, and really not a traditional Republican. He's a Trumper.
But he was willing to challenge the NRA on some pretty sensitive issues. That, I assume, you welcome.
I do welcome it, and I hope it bears fruition, and I hope he follows through on it. But he doesn't get to the finish line. He's liable to stumble.
I want to play another moment from that meeting yesterday, a moment that got a lot of attention. Listen to this one.
Take the firearms first and then go to court, because that's another system, because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second.
He was talking about the mentally ill, and he thinks that in some cases it's better for police to simply seize the weapons before allowing a due process, legal rights, if you will. What do you think the reaction would have been, for example, if President Obama had suggested the same thing?
Oh, well, it would have been. He'd have been against it entirely and said it was wrong and you deserve due process. You know, we were trying to pass no-fly, no-buy, and we're still trying to do it. The Republicans said that it gave the people on the suspected terrorist list, it denied them due process. So they were for due process for suspected terrorists, and now Trump's not for due process for people with weapons, and that's not going to go over well at all. It was astonishing to hear him say that, but I don't think he knows what due process is. I think he thinks it's maybe a beverage like Mountain Dew.
Do you think there's a chance that you and your colleagues in the House and in the Senate will pass some significant gun control legislation anytime soon?
Certainly, I would hope so, and I was pleased that Democrats went there and they did what they needed to do to put the ideas forward on common sense, universal background checks and changing the age and for buying assault weapons and other proposals. But when it gets down to it, I doubt the Republicans will put it on the floor with an open bill to allow amendments, because things might pass that they wouldn't want to have happen. And when it gets time to Paul Ryan and the Rules Committee, the NRA will rule, and I don't think we'll have much to vote on. But I certainly hope we will. Trump sounded good yesterday, but getting Paul Ryan and the Republicans to have a vote will be much, much more difficult.
Let me ask you about the president's son-in-law and senior advisor, Jared Kushner. As you know, the New York Times is now reporting that his family's real estate business secured more than $500 million in loans after Kushner held meetings at the White House with some of those lenders who participated. What's your reaction to that?
What a coincidence. It's just amazing, you know, that these things could happen, that people could meet with Kushner, who is an owner of those companies, gets benefits, the profits from it, and then they make these tremendous loans which are outside the ordinary. It's a conflict of interest. The White House should be beyond reproach like Caesar's wife, and they're not. In fact, that they just invite criticism, and it started with President Trump not divesting himself of profits and from his Trump Corporation. One of the reasons we filed our impeachment resolution, HRS 621, because of violations of Trump on the emoluments clause, both domestic and foreign. Domestic, you're not supposed to earn more money than you do as the president, and foreign is you're supposed to go to Congress before you earn money from foreign potentates. Trump did neither. He set the ethical low bar or no bar for members of his family and his administration to follow, and Kushner's followed directly in conflicts of interest. There is an influence, and you can buy influence in this White House, and that notice has been put out. You know, Manafort took the job running the campaign and said he didn't want any money. He needed influence and the money he could get from the oligarchs through that influence, and I'm sure that was responsible for changing the Republican platform to allow weapons for the Ukraine government, offensive weapons, and taking that out was something he got paid for. Same thing for Kushner. The salary is chicken feed. It's what you can make out of the job. It's called a grifter. There was a movie about it. Melanie Griffith. Great movie. Sad story. We have grifters in the White House today.
Well, the president points out his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, does not take a federal government salary in his job as senior advisor to the president. Just a little nugget there. Hey, Congressman Steve Cohen, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome, Wolf. Have a good one.
You too. Coming up.